Christopher Nolan's one of the last remaining auteurs in Hollywood who can secure a big budget because studios know that he'll make it back. He's a poster boy for movies, a filmmaker who manages to appeal to both film nerds and frat bros, the only director whose 3-hour dry political biopic fills seats with dudes who look like this wearing Inception shirts. Early on in my cinephilic journey, I too was swept under the spell of Christopher Nolan, the photography, the score, Matthew McConaughey, and a handful of his films still hold a very special place in my heart. But as I've watched more and more movies, I've had to confront some of his flaws as a filmmaker, of which there are a few. I think we can all agree at this point that the discourse around the Odyssey trailer was stupid as fuck. It quickly became a bizarre conservative dog whistle, something that frustrated me, somebody who had legitimate criticisms of the trailer. I saw The Odyssey on the day it was released, Friday, July 17th, yesterday at the time of filming. Since then, I've had time to digest the movie and sort of piece it together in my head. I think ultimately, if you are looking for a video that reassures you, a Christopher Nolan fan, that Christopher Nolan can do no wrong, and that he is exempt from criticism, you've come to the wrong place. I neither think this is an overrated piece of bloated garbage, nor an incredible film. It's not a great movie, but it's not a bad one either. I've never cared for the argument, why would I watch blank film adaptation when I could just go read blank source material? But in this case, the pertinence of that argument is simply too unignorable not to bring it up. Nolan's images, his set design, attention to detail is undeniably incredible. The biggest thing you can bank on and expect when going into a Christopher Nolan movie is that it's gonna look pretty. But the wonderful part of reading a really good book, is that those same images that Christopher Nolan can create with his camera and with his massive crews and casts can be come up with in your head just as good, if not better, because that's the power of a great book. And I can assure you, The Odyssey is a great book. To me, books on the big screen are best when the filmmakers inject the source material with their own creativity to make a film that uses its medium to its advantage to create a distinct experience from the book. The Odyssey feels at the same time overbearingly faithful in all the parts it should be distinct, and full of obtuse cinematic crutches which render many of the key scenes distastefully foreign. This brings me to my greater point about the movie as a whole. The script is weak. The first 15 or so minutes are pure, dense exposition. The set pieces combined with these very recognizable actors is jarring, of course, especially since all of them have American accents, even the British. This is a given, not really something that's fair to criticize, you could argue. However, it does serve to make the plot dump all the more jarring. When we switch over to Odysseus' plotline, that's when the movie starts really going. We get all of the iconic scenes sort of right in a row as the Odyssey is explored from his point of view. I just can't help but roll my eyes at the use of Charlize Theron as a plot crutch. She acts as his therapist and is telling him to remember on the beach, and he's explaining this story of how he got here to both her and in turn the audience. It's just been done. It's not how it is in the book. It's more boring than how it is in the book, and I just feel like we're still doing this. You're supposed to be the most revolutionary filmmaker in cinema, and this is what you're writing. I think the second act is where I had the most fun because it features all of the most exciting and iconic scenes from the book. We get the giant scene, which is fantastic. So good. Everything I was hoping for and more. I just wish it were longer. I love the Hades scene with Elliot Page, who's great as always. The Cersei scene is a lot of fun as well. Really viscerally disgusting and grotesque and awesome. The Siren scene is certainly well executed, but kind of predictable to me. I wish the filmmakers had come up with some sort of more innovative way to tell that part of the story than just basically a more cinematified version of what's told in the book. Strangely, Matt Damon during that scene and a couple others is treated like the wild card crazy type that we often see in movies. The dude who does something nobody else thought to do that's so innovative and wild, and everybody's like just looking around and staring at him like, this guy's so crazy, and then afterwards they're like, Oh my god, he's so brave. I think that's a good segue to another big problem I had with the movie that's more of an umbrella for a lot of it. It's something I admittedly saw coming because it's a mainstay in Christopher Nolan's filmography, but it's something I thought might be more ignorable in this one because the source material is so good. Nolan does not know how to write characters. Odysseus is, in one scene, the quick-eyed card-counting genius who can spot his men's rings in Circe's bowl. In another, he's the reckless fool who shoots the giant's eye for no reason. And in yet another, he's the conflicted man whose greatest enemy is his own psyche. It's true that these are all parts of Odysseus's character in the book, but whereas in the movie it feels like from scene to scene he's an entirely new person, in the poem all of these pieces are placed together to form one complex, soulful, unique character. I was confused by Nolan's attempt to inject some sort of message about war and constantly saying Odysseus doesn't want to return home, which I don't understand because it's much more tragic, I think, to describe a man who all he wants to do is return home, but he can't. I didn't understand that angle. I didn't understand why he tried to represent the Greeks as being regretful about the Trojan horse and that whole war. They definitely weren't, especially not in that book. As usual with Christopher Nolan's films, the performances vary quite a lot. I think I'll just go down and say how each of them did. Matt Damon as Odysseus was fine, but as a lot of people I think have pointed out, he's just playing Matt Damon. That's the case for a lot of these, I'd say, but especially Matt Damon is unrecognizable as anything resembling a Greek. Robert Pattinson was great, really good, disappeared into the role, I thought. Very believable. Tom Holland was as whiny and cloying as ever. Elliot Page was fantastic. Not a lot of screen time, but the two scenes I think that he's in, he excels. Travis Scott didn't have a serious role because he's not a serious actor, but I guess as the Bard, he did fine. Anne Hathaway is maybe my pick for strangest success in Hollywood history. Ever since seeing Interstellar for the first time, I have never liked her acting. I think she's a horrific overactor, and that is the case in here too. John Leguizamo was good, Mia Goth was good. None of these people really have that much screen time. I mean, the performances, they're not the best, but that's not the point. Again, I sit here asking myself, what was the point? So yeah, I think the Odyssey is successful around half the time it's playing. My biggest issue with it, ultimately, is just its lack of soul. It feels strangely heartless and emotionally vapid for an adaptation of such a moving story. The grand climax of the book and the film, and Odysseus returns to Ithaca, he finally reveals his identity, strings the bow, shoots through the axes, plucks the string, and slaughters all the suitors. It's, in the book, one of the most satisfying, climactic endings to a story ever. It feels like divine vengeance and righteous retribution. Here it is completely misrepresented. It's treated like yet another hurdle Odysseus has to jump through in order to finally win and finally be at home. The music is tense and suspenseful, as if we're not supposed to suspect that Matt Damon is indeed going to live. Of course he's going to live. He's fucking Odysseus. That's not the point. Ultimately, I think I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. I think it has its moments. It's doubtlessly beautiful and sort of a cinematic achievement, but I just think there's too much wrong with the script for me to overlook its issues in favor of how good it looks. I couldn't be swept away by the beauty like I was in Interstellar or The Prestige because the script was simply too soulless. None of the images had any meaning to me because of that. So yeah, that's it. Probably a hot take, probably gonna be a hot take, but just the way I feel.